Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kristina Lynn Show. The talk show with heart, where Kristina brings you up close and personal with the most fascinating guests from all walks of life.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew. A girl so smart, so responsible. She must be a keeper.
And now your host, Kristina Lynn.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Kristina Lynn Show. I'm your host, Kristina Lynn, and as you know, we're the show that has the heart. We're the talk show that takes you right to the heart of the matter. We bring you some of the most fascinating and intriguing people from all around the world and from all walks of life. And on today's show, I am so blessed to have a wonderful friend of mine and someone who has helped me in my health department and in my life in a huge way. So I'm so happy to introduce you all now to Rick Ferre. Rick, welcome to the show today.
Hi, Kristina. How you doing?
It's a wonderful pleasure. I am doing fabulous, and I'm so excited to have you share with my audience today what you do and how amazing it is. So I first want to start off, Rick, by telling everyone about you. Rick is a very gifted quantum healer, and he does divine energy activation. And he does this for self-realization, and his work is deep and it's immediate. And I have to tell you, I have experienced this, as have many of my friends, and I can highly recommend him that he is really able to help all of us to be the best we can be and have the best lives we can. And that's what our show's about, is helping you to have your best life now. So Rick, you're just a perfect guest for us to have. So Rick, I'm going to just get right on in here. And I tell you, we've got so much to talk about that I am doing a special 2-part series with you. So we will have you on this week and the following week on the show. So I'm very excited about that as well, because we got lots to talk about and uncover today. What I want to say to our audience is I just want to say we're asking you today to have a very open mind. As you all know, and many of my listeners that are longtime listeners know, that I'm very holistic. I'm very open to energy healing and to alternative methods of healing, methods of self-improvement. And so this is what we're going to be talking about with Rick today. So Rick, first of all, let's start off with your journey, the beginning of your journey. How did you find that you had this gift to help others? And how did that progress from there?
So I discovered it about 17 years old, and thank you for Kristina for having me on. Just I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
At 17 years old, I was in high school. It was kind of towards the end of high school, and I got really sick, and I was being bounced around from specialist to specialist for months. They couldn't quite figure out what it was. At first, they thought it was some kind of infectious mono, and then I was going in for biopsies because I think they expected the worst. My father remembered a guy that he went to get his back fixed. He used to call him el loquero, which means witch doctor in Spanish, but he was a chiropractor.
A chiropractor. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool.
So he took me there. I saw this guy. He came out. He was a very interesting fellow. I'm still friends with him to this day.
Great.
And he got me tuned up in 2 sessions. First time I was there, my neck had swollen out to about the size of a tennis ball or so. I go see him, and it starts to drain. And I'm just staggered. I'm this young kid, 17 years old, that's being bounced around from doctor to doctor. And I at 17, I thought all the doctors had the answers. So when I met when I met Dr. Roberts, and he was able to drain that in the first 10, 15 minutes of meeting me, and then finish it up a week later, I was staggered.
So this really changed your perspective to healing and medicine, it sounds like.
Absolutely.
Great.
And the other thing that I noticed was we spoke for a moment, and he kind of showed me that that not everyone sees what we see, and that he's a person that him and I see very similarly. And I just
Now
kind of
how
was
did
left
that
there.
how did that open up for you? That's one of the things I really want to find out from you is how did you really realize, and who helped you realize the gift that you have? Because you have some very unique gifts. I can tell you that.
Wow.
I've had healings from many people, but your gifts are unique and they're outstanding. So how did that realization come about to you? And then when did you first begin to work on other people?
That realization, I don't know that I think I was blessed with a mother who just didn't kind of put a cap on things. Like,
Good.
she allowed me to stay a child, explore my imagination, which seemed to hold keys to being able to access some of these realms. But I never was told I couldn't or wasn't supposed to.
Great. So she lets you be outside of the box, right?
Yes.
Now let's talk about something that you just said, because our audience is learning as we go. Some of these wonderful listeners have never even heard of some of this. So they're waking up with this today, and I love to wake people up. So other realms, when you were saying reaching out to other realms, let's talk about that. What does that mean exactly in terms of your work?
Wow, that one's a little toughy to explain. It's like
But we can come back to that if you want. Yeah. But just in a nutshell.
Sure. It's I think it's like accessing other frequencies. So you have people that are strong feelers, seers. They have all kinds of different gifts when it comes to this work, and the way that they approach, the way that they're able to perceive and take in data, almost seems like you're changing a channel to allow a different perception to come through and use that information to help others with.
Great. Oh, that's a great definition. Excellent. Now let's step back a minute, because again, a lot of folks are wanting to learn more. As we know, we're all made up of energy, and we're all made up of different frequencies. So if you're going back to a beginner that's just learning, how would you talk about that? How our bodies are all energy and how we are connected, mind, body, and spirit. Let's work up from there to wake some folks up about this today. Answer some of their questions. You're starting at a 101, quantum healing 101.
The first thing that I would tell someone is use your imagination. It can bridge the gap between your subconscious and your conscious mind. And the reason I would bring that up first is because step 1 and 2 are kind of synergistic. Like you want to be able to access that imagination to fill in certain blanks so that I could actually get you to the point where to learning to shift your awareness to your heart space. If you can spend more time there, I think that's where the magic does happen.
Why is that so important, switching to the heart space? I'm glad you said that. What makes that so important?
I mean, this is hypothetical, but it feels like it's the place that it feels like, it's hard to answer this in a concrete fashion, but it seems like that's the place where the authentic self lives, and where it's the closest point where people are that fragment of the divine and the gift of being the person that they are meet right there.
Yes.
So that's why I think it's so important to wake that up, because if nothing else,
right,
love that part of you.
Yeah. Follow your heart, open your heart. It's so important. Now, there are people that still wonder, wait a minute, how can our minds control our bodies and our souls and our spirits? How can we be body, mind, and spirit? And can I have something going on physically with my body that I want to change that is actually controlled more by my mind? Now, I tell you what, before we answer that one, I'm just looking at the clock and noticing that we have a special word from one of our special sponsors. So, Rick, I'm going to let you think on that for a moment. And if you'll stay tuned, and audience, stay tuned, because you have not heard anything yet. Rick's just getting warmed up. Stay tuned, and we will be right back after this word from our special sponsor.
Travel is part of the American way of life.
When we're on vacation, we keep an eye out for anything that looks out of place.
Miss your bag.
When we travel from city to city, we pay attention to our surroundings. Everyone plays a role in keeping our communities safe.
Whether you're traveling for business or pleasure, be aware of your surroundings. If you see something suspicious, say something to local authorities.
COVID-19 has been a really long and difficult fight.
It's definitely taken a toll on all of us.
Right now, new variants are a lot more contagious and need to be taken seriously.
Getting vaccinated and staying boosted is the best way to keep you protected from COVID-19 and help you stay out of the hospital.
Even if you got COVID before,
it's important that you go get your COVID booster.
COVID shots are safe.
Much safer than getting the virus.
We can all do our part
and get back to living. You can go to getvaccineanswers.org for more information.
And we are back. So it's so exciting to continue this wonderful conversation and journey with Rick. Rick, you are such a gifted healer. It's Rick Foray. At the end of this show, we are going to give everyone your information and where they can go and check you out and get in touch with you. So, and you're out of Utah in the USA. So, of course, we have guests from all over the world. But welcome back, Rick. And let's pick up that question that I approached and put out for you right before the commercial. And that is, again, people want to know often, they'll say, okay, holistic is mind, body, and spirit. So how does our mind affect our body? Are they all really connected? And if so, what can we do with our thoughts and our mind to get better health? What would you say to that?
Well, first thing, cultivate a healthy mind. You don't want to be the type, you don't want to badger yourself. You don't want to be the first enemy. But typically we are the first enemy that we encounter. How we perceive other people, how we give away our emotions, our personal power in our day to day, and
right,
and pulling those things back. And I mean, it is a long process, and it sometimes it's a game of inches, but little by little, it makes a wonderful difference, both in how you personally feel and the effects that you have on the people around you. You ever been in a room with a bunch of angry folks?
Yes, unfortunately, yes.
It.
Yeah,
you can feel it.
It's energy, isn't it? It's all about the energy, right?
Well, we're highly sophisticated in that way. I think it's incredible how we're able to empathize with one another and feel what another person's feeling. And we use that to come together, I mean, on our best days to help one another.
Right. That's very true. So now what can someone do? Okay, we've got people in the audience and they're going to have ailments. They may have diseases. There are always things happening. What can they do with their thoughts and with their spirit to change that? And what do you do sometimes with your clients to get them on the right track?
Well, with my clients, it's definitely a team sport. I'll connect with them and I'll go down the rabbit hole with them. It may start with a shoulder injury, and I'll feel it, and I just listen. I pay attention, and there's usually an impulse, an emotion, something that comes up, something from their past, something that they're experiencing, and I'll walk that down the line. And but what I mean by that is I'll start there. I'll ask, is there more? Is it deeper? And then I'll keep going down with them until I hit the bottom, for lack of a better way of expressing it, that is. From there, I would connect with them and we can make some adjustments to those things. Sometimes it's as simple as a discernment that someone didn't have, and adding that little bit of discernment, and all of a sudden, shoulder's not as rigid as it was before. It starts to move.
You did that with my knee. I want to say my knee got so much better. I had something stuck regarding my left knee because I had 2 falls on that knee. Yeah. So please continue, because it's fascinating how that change in your mind can heal a knee, a shoulder, or anything in our body.
The biggest thing is, is the allowing for something to be different than was the moment before. And I think sometimes that's the difference between a quantum method of healing versus an energy method of healing. Like energy, you track it, you can hold it, it shifts, it moves, you feel that. With quantum, what you notice, you're actually noticing the aftermath of the change, not the process of the change. And that's a really fascinating effect to see transpire.
Yes, it is. It is fascinating. And can you give us a couple of examples, or at least one nice example of someone that has had success? And again, I know this is just a great way to share with people how there have been some great benefits for people. Anything that comes to mind?
Sure, I can use an example, but I won't name names. That's just not fair.
Right. We don't name names. I don't mind you using me as an example, but otherwise we'll keep the names private.
So I was working with a young lady, and she had hip issues. And I took a look at her. It looked like it was in the ileocecal valve region. And for me, at least the way that I've set up my work, I know there's certain responses that equal certain things for me. With the ileocecal valve, there'll be fear or hate. If it's not pathological, that's a whole different thing. But in the emotional realm, and I knew this was emotional. So, I mean, it was as simple as hate or fear. And in this case, it was hate. And I asked her what she hated. And she's like, "Oh, I don't hate anything." I'm like, "Oh, so you don't hate being told what to do?" And she stopped and she's like, "As a matter of fact, I really, really, really hate that." And I was like, "There we go. Now we can play. And then we can reduce that down. Where did that come from? Why is that?" Make a little modification there. And sure enough, her hip shifted.
Wow. Amazing. Yeah. And I know that happened with my knee and my lower back, both, that have been challenges for me on and off, having been in a couple of automobile accidents and then having a couple falls with my knee. So it's amazing how that shifts, and it can do it very quickly, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, wow, I love that. That's awesome. And I know I've heard a lot of stories from people having similar effects with your work. So that's really amazing. Now, when we talk about the spiritual aspects of this, if you will, just give us a little indication as to how that also spiritually can be affected, sometimes mind, body, spirit. What would you say to that as far as just introducing people to this?
Well, I mean, in terms of the spirit and the emotion, it's
and emotion ties in there. Yes, good point.
I think it's I really think the process by which they're doing is really just negating all BS. I think at the end of the day, that's biggest thing about it. I mean, how many people sit down in a room and see people dancing and they're sitting there like, "Oh, that'd be cool, but not for me. I'm not one of those people that do that." Or have a question in a classroom and they don't raise their hand because they're, "Oh, I don't want to disturb the peace." Yeah. I mean, these are all ideas of the false self. You can totally be that person that goes out there and dances and speaks and connects with other people. It's a fantastic thing. So cultivating that, it really is the process of negating BS so that you can really live that authentic you.
Really I love that. Play. Yes, I love that answer. Yeah, authenticate the authentative you, right? I love it. Authenticate. Let's be, let's be authentative people and authenticate ourselves. I love it. Well, on that note, stay tuned because we do have one more message from our wonderful sponsor, Rick. Hang on there, honey. We got lots more to talk to you about. I had a few questions that came in from our audience, and we got lots more to cover. Stay tuned right here on the Kristina Lynn Show. We'll be right back.
Are you or a loved one struggling with addiction? Rancho Milagro Recovery is an accredited drug and alcohol addiction recovery program treating the whole person through their lifelong recovery process. Our process incorporates both medication-assisted treatment and psychological therapy to help all aspects of an individual's mind, body, and spirit. Our lavish accommodation sits on 60 acres of outdoor greatness where your privacy and discretion is our utmost concern. Find lasting recovery and walk away from addiction one step at a time. RanchoMilagroRecovery.com.
Where are you headed?
Just gonna hang out.
If any of your buddies ever pressure you to take a drink, just tell them you promised your dad you wouldn't.
I promise. Love you too, Dad.
They really do hear you. For tips on what to say, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
And we're back with the Kristina Lynn Show, and I am loving this show because one of my favorite people, Rick Ferre, is here with us today. He's an amazing quantum healer. He helps you to be the best that you can be and feel the best you can feel. So he's awesome. And I can attest to how wonderful he is because I work with him myself. So, Rick, welcome back. Now, we're going to go back and talk a little more about getting in touch with your authentic self and then also negating the BS. How can people do that? I love it.
All you have to do is do one thing different every day. Just one thing better than you did before.
I like that.
It's just being determined. If you try to be the example that you would have loved to have, and you live to try to do that to the best of your ability, you're going to naturally just do something different. You're going to make increments to better yourself.
Right.
It's I don't know. Not everyone wants to do that or is driven to do that, but I would implore for sure.
Let's say they're taking some baby steps, but they say, "Hey, Rick, I want to do that, but I'm not sure how to get to that point." And if they're not able to call you for a session or something to help them, what can they do in their daily life to open up their reality enough that they can start doing that? What are some baby steps?
I like to start off my day with a cute couple open-ended questions, and that'll kind of leverage their subconscious to work with them. I like to start off with my day with questions like, what haven't I thought of before that would be useful to me and everybody else?
I
just let it go. Like I don't even think about it. And
okay, now I'm going
to end of business, I will have some.
Yes. Now I want to touch back again on what you said, subconscious. Let's look at the subconscious a little bit now, because like you're saying, that's something that a lot of us say, "Oh, I don't have any control over my subconscious. I can't lose weight because of my subconscious, or I'm losing sleep. I'm not able to sleep at night, and my subconscious must have something in there." What do we do to work on, again, negating the BS from our subconscious, so to speak?
Well, I mean, the way the system's set up, I mean, there's various ways from meditation to hypnosis. It's not so much of like, it's not a control factor. It's almost more of a let go of control and recognizing the systems that are at play and asking yourself, just learning to pay attention and ask. The reason I had initially said is it's so important to find that authentic heart space is because from that place, that's you. Like I really don't believe people are their thoughts, their beliefs, their emotions. These are systems, and they're wonderful systems, and we do get moved by them. But recognizing that, we can learn to kind of move with them and leverage them to help us as instead of, in many people's cases, hinder them.
Right. Good explanation. That's very good. It's so true. And it becomes so apparent when we do open our hearts that we can overcome those old thoughts and change a lot of our thoughts, because thoughts are things. We work with the law of attraction. What you think is what you get. What you put out is what comes back to you. So that really ties in, I feel, so much with your work. That's wonderful. Okay, good. Well, we've got some more time, so I'd like to go to a couple questions from the audience. Okay, and here's one that is something special. They're saying, I've had a lot of problems with something I was born with. I was born with type 1 diabetes. Rick, what do you recommend in a case like that I might do? What do we do when we're born with something and it's just part of our life? Could I ever really reverse this or change it?
Well, there's multiple ways to go about that.
Yeah, what would be something?
I would have to connect with the individual. I mean, there's so many ways. People are so many colors. The way that I work is kind of dynamic and on the fly and generally different from person to person to an extent. Like it's not a one size fits all.
Okay, right.
What type of diabetes? Type 1, type 2?
Type 1. He says here, and he's from California, and he says that he actually, I'm not going to give his name, but he was born with type 1. So it's early childhood. It was the childhood diabetes. He said he really wants to get off medication, to get off insulin. Could he ever have a chance to do that? And again, everyone's different. While you're thinking a moment, I want to say too, that's why we all have different palm prints, different hand prints. We're all like snowflakes. Each snowflake's different. We're all different. So I love the fact, and I know you've done that with working with me, that you're so tailor-made for each individual. And I bet you get some amazing, very different cases all the time when you're working with people one-on-one.
All the time. I'm just hesitant to say some of the methodologies that I would employ for this man.
Oh, that's okay. But he could definitely reach out to you. But I think just in general, do you feel that that's definitely something that he could change? It looks like he's been told all his life, oh, you're stuck with that till you die. And how can we change that mindset? I think that's the important thing on this question.
Again, I think working towards that authentic space of the heart, and mind you, 20 years ago, you wouldn't have thought of me this way, but I wake up every day just kind of excited of what could be, which is what I used to wake up like as a child. I keep my responsibilities in check. I still do adult things, but I do wake up with that wonder of what could be, what's going to happen that day. And that excitement does drive and fuel some of the work that I do.
Oh, that brings to mind, yes, that miracles happen. So I would say to him too, hey, and listen, I've experienced some major miracles happening in my life with holistic health and with your work too. Miracles can happen, just think big, believe, I say, believe it, see it, believe it, achieve it. See it, believe it, achieve it. I think that's something that would be negating the BS, don't you think? And you can do it with your body. You can do it with your health. You can do it with your life. So that's the beautiful thing about your work and just being so positive in that way. Okay, we've got time just for one more question. This is from a lady from Massachusetts, and she says, hello. She said, I think I have a healing gift. I would love to be a healer. What do I do to develop that or get started? Can you recommend what I should do? So what might be a good recommendation?
I wish I knew what kind of healing gift she was looking for. If it's energy work, I would.
She says, okay, I just looked a little bit more in her email here, and she does say that she's been able to tune into what's going on with people in her family and friends and has been really spot on for them. So she said she's got the intuition. What can she do to further that? She said, I'd like to make a career out of it like you've done. How can I do that?
If she's taking in energy from other people, like most empaths do, taking the time to learn to clear herself regularly is going to be essential for her health.
Okay, let's talk about an empath. What exactly is an empath? I know people are going to want to know.
Certain people, they're like, a lot of people have the ability to feel one another. That's part of the system that we have. But empaths, it's like the door is always open. So they're always taking everybody's emotions in. So that's the type of person that there's ways to adjust and change that. But at its base, you got to clear that other people's emotions off or their energies off.
That's good. And you know what? We're going to pick up more of that with part 2. I can't believe we've almost finished the half hour, but Rick Ferret, Rick, give me your French last name again. Ferret, right?
Ferret. Yep.
Yeah. Rick Ferret. That's great. I love the French. Yeah. Please give us how we can reach out for you and how the audience can reach you. If you'll give us your best phone number.
The easiest way to reach me is at 702-773-9588 or namastean_n_1 at Instagram.
Great. And again, that number to reach out to Rick, if you would like to speak to him and get a personal session, it's area code 702-773-9588. Rick, thank you so much. And stick around because we're going to do a part 2 since I'm so blessed to have you here. Namaste. God bless.
Kristina.
Thank you all for being here with the show. And we'll be right back next week on the Kristina Lynn Show. Until then, take care.
The Kristina Lynn Show, the show with heart. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again. And don't forget just how important you really are to us. We love and respect each and every one of you.